Welcome back, everybody, to the Classic Rock and Blues Show. And coming up on this edition, our main guest is one of England's finest and certainly most successful singer-songwriters of the last 5 decades or so. She is Joan Armatrading. And yes, 5 decades. It's incredible, isn't it, to think that she has been consistently producing great music across a multitude of genres. And we met up to celebrate the release of the new album, How Did This Happen? And what does it now mean? Here we are then in 2025. Now this is 53 years on from your debut album. And you've managed to do what very few artists have done, which is sustain this success and longevity without any deviation from the way you wanted to do things. No interference, no bowing to fashions or trends. How did you actually make this work solely on your terms?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, apart from just being who I am. And because that's all I know, that's all I can do. So if somebody said, as they said to me, for instance, change your name, well, this is the name. So I'm not going to do that. They said, because I love writing, and that's why I think I'm here. That's why I think I was born. And they said, well, you should sing cover songs. Well, I'm a writer, so I'm not here to sing cover songs. Don't get me wrong. Love songs from other people, and other people are incredibly clever. And I think, my goodness, when I listen to some of the songs, I think, how clever are you to have written that and to be singing that? But that's not what I was born to do. What I was born to do was write songs. So very easy for me to just stick to the thing that I know I was here to do. And I'm quite a focused sort of person. And I'm not particularly easily swayed. If I think it's not for me, if I think it's for me, it's not that I'm not perfect. I won't just I don't just kind of go and do things for the sake of being, awkward or being who I think I am. That's not it. But I'm quite confident about my talents, and I think you have to be. I think anybody who's creative and is kind of good at what they do, they have to know they're good at it, and they have to know what it is they want. Whether you're talking about, it doesn't matter who you're talking about. If they have some success, they have to know what it is they're doing, and just kind of stick to it. So I've never really had any angst about, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be listening to this? Should I be listening to that? I've been quite confident about where I think I should be. Whether other people think it's right, that's a whole different thing. Might be lots of people who think, well, Joan, maybe you should listen to more people. But no, I'm quite happy. As you say, I've managed to maintain a career for a long time on just being who I am.
So we're celebrating album 21, and there's almost a defiance of nature here, because you're sounding and looking incredible. The music on the album is this eclectic mix of sounds and styles, and there's no dimming in the sharpness of your mind to create these songs and stories from observation. And you make it look, dare I say, easy.
I do find it quite easy, actually. I've got to say, I've never, I've never struggled to write a song, really. I might write a bad song. In my eyes, it's a bad song. But what I do is I'll always finish whatever song I start. I'll finish it, and if I think it's bad, then nobody gets to hear it. So it's not that I'm writing things that I think myself is perfect all the time, or that's really good, everybody's got to hear that. That's not the case. But I know that I want I know that I want to do this. So and I'm alive. goodness sake,
Yeah.
if you're here, you should have some joy in being here, you know. So that helps to motivate me. Just being here is a motivation. And then when you're here, you meet new people, you hear new things, you see interesting things. So that keeps you motivated and makes you want to write about it. So there's a lot of things to make me be up still.
Do you get when you create these things from observation, social observation? Are you always observing? You know, when you go out and you're going, you know, you go shopping on a Saturday afternoon, or you go out for dinner. Are you always observing the room and what's going on around you for potential song inspiration?
I think the answer to that might be yes, however, not always consciously. So when it comes time to write, it's amazing some of the things that will come into your head that, you know, something might say, okay, now it's time to write and I'm going to write about this. But some of the words and some of the actions that happen during the song might come from something that you've seen ages ago that you didn't realize you were taking in, and
Yeah,
it all fits into that song. And again, it's not just me that does that. It's all people who are creative have to be present. You have to be observant and be mindful of what's around you, because those are the things that's giving you that the power to make those words. So yeah, I'm definitely on all the time, but as I say, not necessarily always consciously. And obviously, it's not everything that you see is going to make you think, let me write a song about that. Whatever that thing is that makes you think, yes, let me write a song about it, it has its own special thing, and you can't really legislate for it. You can't say, oh, okay, on Tuesday at 2 o'clock when I go down the high street, I'm going to see the thing that makes me. It doesn't work like that. It's something that you actually have no idea how and why it works.
and let's not forget as well here, at a time when many artists would be beginning to embrace struggle, right, be it physically or mentally, you're doing more than ever in terms of writing,
Yeah.
performing, producing, engineering. You know, it seems that you know that old cliche, you know, age is just a number, but that is actually true, and that lives in your psyche. Why should that dictate what I should be doing? Why should I be listening to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been from day one. So my first album was in 1972, and from from that album to this album, I've always been incredibly involved in the production. So I've always written the songs, I've always arranged the songs. Even the days when you had a producer credit, really, I should have been having a producer credit along with them because I was always involved in all of that. It was never the producer saying, you know, this is how it goes. So it's not for me. There's no great big leap from 1972 to
Yeah.
2024, 25 because this is what I've always been doing. And I was so lucky that my first producer was Gus Dudgeon. And Gus, who produced Elton John at the time, who Elton John at the time was the Taylor Swift of the day. He was selling everything, you know, everything that was being sold was Elton John. And Gus was his producer. And Gus recognized that I knew what I wanted and knew what I was doing and just allowed that to happen. And then I was again incredibly lucky to have Glyn Johns as my third
Oh, Led
producer.
Zeppelin and the Beatles. Yeah.
Absolutely, Glyn. You name a big art act, and Glyn has worked with them. And again, Glyn recognised that. So I've always been able to be very involved in everything that I've been working on, and those two guys are mega in my eyes of
Yeah.
who they are and their talents. And of course, all the musicians that I've worked with have been incredible musicians. They're really talented people. But it's my job to know what I want, because there'll always be somebody who knows how it should go. Always, it'll be the engineer or the producer or the bass player, the drummer. It'll be somebody. And as the songwriter, I feel it's my job to know.
You are the poster for the obvious benefits of clean living. You've never drunk, you've never smoked, you don't do coffee, tea, or meat, and every strand of your life, it seems, is geared towards you achieving musically. So that again is some life commitment to go through and manage to sidestep all of those things that are very prevalent in the music industry. So again, this is a sign of an incredible strength of character.
Yeah, you see, I don't see it like that. I just see it as me being me, because this is all I know. So if I'd started out being one way and ended up this way, then I would say, yeah, that's great. What an achievement. But because I've always only been like this, it's just that. You know, if I used to
Yeah.
smoke, or if I used to drink, or if I used to do drugs, or if I used to, I don't know, whatever you want, and then stopped and become something else, then yeah, whoa, how incredible. But no, this is it.
Does it make you smile when you see when you see some of these guys that have lived utter lives of debauchery suddenly at the age of 76 finding out cleanliness is fabulous for the body?
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting, but it's nice that they've come to it. But you know, the thing is, they obviously enjoyed themselves at the time, so that's nice for them. You
But
know.
back to the album, I mean, it's interesting as well to see and feel a slightly more rock-infused album here, which includes two great instrumental tracks. Firstly, Back and Forth, which is
Yeah.
this reminder of what a great blues player you were, and maybe a nod to some who missed it to go and check out Into the Blues, the album you did
Yeah.
back in 2007 or 8 or so, who might have missed it. That came out of nowhere. You're sort of ambling along, listening to this sort of chilled rock feel, and then this comes at you. So where did the inspiration for that come from?
But Back and Forth, yeah, I just woke up that morning, and I felt like playing the guitar. I didn't feel, it wasn't a question of thinking about writing. I just really wanted to play. And I just went into the studio and recorded what I was playing. So it was just a stream of consciousness, really. I just played, and that's the result. So it's just very simple. I just wanted to play.
And then now what?
And
The
well,
other
now
instrumental track
what
ramps
came?
it up even more, doesn't it? Because you're
Yeah,
shredding into the intro of this.
yeah. Because I thought, well, I can't just have one. I can't just have one instrumental on it. I better put two. So I did that. And because I was kind of in the just playing mode,
Yeah.
they kind of followed each other. Um, but yeah, they it just came out of just wanting to play. I hadn't planned on putting an instrumental on the album. Actually, it wasn't. I didn't even think. I hadn't planned on it at all. It's just that when I did it, I thought, "Oh, this is, excuse me, this sounds really good. I think it deserves to be on the album." And yeah, and it's nice actually. It's been good because it's reminded people that I'm a really good guitarist as well. So I've enjoyed that part of it.
And you've enjoyed listening over the years. I mean, I know you don't like talking about, who specific influences were, or, who you were a big fan of as a kid. I mean, what was it? I mean, you were 19 before you bought your first album.
Yeah,
I mean, Muddy Waters holds a bit of a place for you. I know you're a
love
big
Muddy
fan of that
Waters.
album,
Yeah,
Electric Mud.
yeah, yeah. That was great. I lost that album in New York. I lost a whole load of lyrics. I had a book of lyrics, and I had my Muddy Waters album, and I left them in a taxi. Went on the radio trying to get both of those back, but couldn't. And then I think it was something like 20, I can't remember which, 2012, 2014, something like that. I finally managed to buy back the Muddy Waters Electric Mud album. And I got it in Jack Black's record shop because he has Jack White's record shop because he has a
Yeah.
record shop in whichever city that is in America. And I just happened across. I didn't realize it was his shop. I just happened across this shop, and he had a copy of that in there, so I got it. So I'm really happy about that.
And elsewhere, I mean, you talk about the main theme throughout your whole career has been love, basically. I mean, and there's an abundance here as well. I gave you my key, Redemption, Love, Irresistible, 25 Kisses, the new single, which actually has a really quite Christmassy feel to it, actually.
Oh, which one? What? 25
25
Kisses?
Kisses.
Oh,
I
really?
did. Yeah, I thought the beginning, I thought, Christmas
Oh,
song.
no. Oh, that's interesting. I must listen again.
The theme of love. So again, to continue to create different narrative around that subject, again, how do you make that look so easy? Because it's not a subject which is, well, yeah, for some, known for its particular depth.
Well, there's always new people, and new people. Like I wrote a song called "Lovers Speak," and what it's talking about is when you see people in love and they're all kind of cozy together and they've got their heads together and then they're whispering and you think, God, this must be something really deep and kind of something that's like unworldly, like just so special. And if you listen properly, they're probably just saying, "Would you like another cup of tea?" or something really mundane. It's like, but they're in love, so it all looks really glossy. And that's the thing about love. Everybody is looking at it from a totally different point of view. It's the same subject from a different angle. And the other thing that I like to say is that when I one day was on the train and I saw a group of young girls, so they'd be, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, that kind of age, young girls. And one of them was telling the others about olives because they just discovered olives. And they were
Yes.
just so into this thing that they discovered and they were all excited about it and they wanted to share this discovery. Well, that's what it's like. Because they're new, olives is new to them, and the excitement of it is new to them, and the way they'll describe it is new to them. And that's what I'm looking for all the time. I'm looking for what's the thing that makes that person in love act differently to the other person that I've spoken about. And because there's new people all the time, you will have new situations, and so I just try and find those new things.
I've seen you talk in the past before about searching for the perfect song.
Yeah.
Have you found it?
No.
What is the
No.
definition then for you of a perfect song?
Well,
If you look at some of the all-time classic songs that you have written, why would you not consider those to be? I mean, Love and Affection, Drop the Pilot, all Me, Myself, I, all of this stuff. Why would you not look back and think, there it is, it's there?
No, it's not there. The when it's there, it would make me say, right, that's it, Joan. Put down the pen. There's not one other song that you can write that would be better than this. That would be the perfect song. So until that happens, I haven't written the perfect song. And I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to write the song that says, you don't need to do anything else. This is it. You've done it. I don't
When
know
you,
what that is, though. I don't know what that. You'd know it. It's like when you've written a song and you know it's a good song. And you ask any musician who writes, it's your job to know when you've written something good. You might not know you've written something that's everlasting or, long
yeah,
lasting,
yeah.
but you'll know that you've written something good. Like I knew Love and Affection was good and Drop the Pilot, Me, Myself, I, Willow. I knew they were good, but I didn't know they would last in people's emotions as long as this. You just don't know that part. But
Well,
in order to make it good enough for them to have that connection, you need to know it's good.
when you look back at this life journey that you've had, this story, what's also great about it was also at points a snapshot of cultural times. Your mother buying the piano for the front room. Now, how many houses back in those days had a piano in, or whose parents bought pianos. I mean, I remember we had one. Nobody played it, but it was there, and
You've
then
got it. You've
and then
actually got it.
and then going to trade 2 prams for a guitar. I mean, it almost paints this very quaint picture of life
Yeah.
at the
You've hit it.
time.
You've actually hit it because you said you had a piano, but nobody played it. And my mother bought a piano just for the piece of furniture. She wasn't planning on playing it. She didn't think Joan would play it. She didn't think my dad was going to play it. She just thought that I love how that looks. It's going to look great on that wall. And as soon as it arrived, I just started writing songs. And that's why I always say I was born to write, because nobody said this is what you should do. And I didn't know anybody else who had a piano. Actually, I didn't know
Was it a
any.
status symbol as well for
No,
the street?
no, my mom's not like that. No, she literally just liked it as a piece of furniture. Like she would have got a sofa. That's a nice sofa, whatever.
And
No,
that
no,
your
she just
relationship with the American audience in America since '73, the first time you went over in there and did that 3-month solo tour, that must have been some very, very daunting undertaking at that time. You were young, you'd had an album out. People didn't do that sort of thing. What do you remember about that? Were you afraid, or did you just view this as, this is a real opportunity for me?
yeah. I'm not, no, I wasn't daunted by it at all, and probably not daunted by it because I didn't know any better. You know, I didn't know any better. I didn't know I was supposed to be daunted by it. It was just a really nice thing to do. So, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was great. I played all the famous clubs in the different cities. You know, the Bottom Line, um, God, my father's place. That's the name of the the thing. Um, the Cellar Door. Played all these great, really well-known clubs around America. And went literally all around and just had a fantastic time and enjoyed myself. And I played in Chicago, and the name of the club that I played at in Chicago was called The Night. And I was supposed to be supporting this chap, and we did the first night, and I don't know what happened to him, but something happened. But it wasn't very well attended, and he wasn't happy about that. So the next night he didn't turn up, and when I played, I still played, and I think there were like 10 people in the audience, and then I went back the next night, and that's why it's called Back to the Night. That's why my second album is called Back to the Night, because I was going back
Brilliant.
to the night. And by the time I finished up, there were quite a few people came to see me in the club, and so that was a quite a boost for me to sort of start out as if I was supporting somebody not well attended. I ended up having to do the show, and then having, it wasn't packed, but when I finished, but people showed up and came back. So that was really nice. That was a boost. So it didn't wasn't daunting, and I didn't think when the chap decided he wasn't going to play that I should not play as well. I just thought, well, I'm here to play. I might as well just play.
Another big moment was that appearance on Saturday Night Live. Now, nobody in this country would have known what Saturday Night
Yeah,
Live was. I mean, but this was a real coup. You talked about Eric Idle
yeah,
recommending that you did it. This was at the time of the real classic lineup. So John Belushi, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Gilda Radner.
yeah.
What do you remember? Did you meet
That's
any of
it.
these people when you were there?
Well, I'm quite, was then, still am now, quite quiet. So I don't tend to mix that much. So I think Eric Idle came to say hello, but I don't remember meeting everybody. But I would have stayed very much on my own. I tend to do that, and back then, I was my shyness was very visible. Less visible now. People might not think I'm as shy as I am now because I've had all these years of kind of doing what I'm doing, but was definitely visible then. So I was quite reserved, apart from when I was singing.
And MTV, I mean, it was good for you as well. I mean, you used to go and do sessions there
Mm-hmm.
in the early days. And when you consider overall the obvious benefits for a musician in your position, living in the USA, how come you managed to resist the temptation to move there? You love the audiences. You've said it's my favorite place to play.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about their honesty, telling them how good you are, and or if you've not been good, they tell you that.
I'm good.
So
Yes.
you obviously have a great deal of affection. How come you resisted the lure to go and live there?
I like Britain. Very, very simple. I like Britain. I like the British humour. I like the British climate. I like the British people. I'm very comfortable. I like that Britain gets irony. I, I like the language that the British speak. It's I love the countryside of Britain. I just like every aspect of it. I like the generosity of Britain. I like that it's a welcoming place. It's not to say that America doesn't have these kind of qualities, but Britain has these qualities all in one. And sometimes in America, you have to go to a particular state to get that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's the difference. And America is a very big place. I mean, it's huge. And what's really interesting is that you can be big in New York, and nobody will know you in Boston. And worse, you can be big in New York and definitely nobody knows you in Texas. And what I really liked about going to America was I could go to each of these. I've been to every state, and each of these cities in all the states. You'd find different people. You'd get something different, whether they're very, very, very outgoing or very reserved or very patriotic, whatever the thing is that city has, you'll get a flavour of it, and that's I really liked as well. And the other thing that I liked about going to America is that you would get the countryside of Europe in America. So whatever you'd find in Italy, whatever scenery you'd find in Italy, you're going to find it somewhere in America, or South Africa, you're going to find it somewhere in America. The architecture and the what's the natural scenery of
Yeah,
America is quite
countryside.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's an amazing place.
You do make. We're nearly finished, but just a couple of things. I was going to say, you do make this thing about you being the most boring person in the world, and I'm not very rock and roll and whatever. But there is a bit of a smokescreen there, really, isn't there? I mean, you
No,
do, as we like to say, or as you've said, like to do stuff. I mean, you've tried to fly helicopters, run marathons, studied for a history degree whilst on the road, and you have this great love of comics and appeared in the Tom, Dick and Sally page
yeah,
of the Beano, which was significant and would be in anybody's life.
thank you.
You really wouldn't be a dull dinner guest, would you? Let's be honest. You would be very interesting.
I well, yeah, I suppose I'd be interested, but I'd also be interested. I'd be interested in the other people that were there as well. The reason I say I'm boring is because I don't have the stories that other artists seem to have, because as I said before, I don't mix in that way. I'm
Yeah,
not, I
yeah.
don't go and jam with people all the time. I'm not going to parties. I'm not socializing on that kind of level. So I don't have the anecdotes that a lot of other people have because I'm not in that
You
situation,
did get
which I
thrown
have
out of
no
Harrods
problem
once,
about.
didn't you?
I did with Nigel Kennedy.
Yeah,
We we both got thrown out of Harrods. One because he had his violin, and one because I was wearing ripped jeans. And we stood outside talking about why we'd been thrown out.
lastly, then, when you look back at these 21 albums, and this is the question that all artists take, and I don't know why people bother asking it, but I
Okay.
will anyway. What do you consider to be the greatest achievement or your most complete body of work? Was it, from the very early days, the A&M years, the time when Glyn Johns producing some of the stuff, the commercial era, or maybe even that blues album, which really did catch everybody unawares. I mean, straight into -- 1 on the Billboard Blues
Yeah,
charts and stayed there for 3 months. So what
yeah.
would you pick if you had to take with you, if you're off onto the desert island and you could take one of your bodies of work, what would it be?
Beethoven's Fifth.
Now, your bodies of work.
I know. I heard what you said. I heard what you said.
I love it. So, what is the future going to be then? I mean, the new album is out and doing very well and getting a lot of positive coverage. You did the classical piece a year ago. I mean, you have done everything. What is there left for you, do you think, that you would
Well,
like to achieve?
well, what I've done is when I did that classical piece, which was premiered in 2023 in November, and the City of Birmingham Orchestra people came to that concert and liked what I did, so they asked me to write a choral piece for them. So I've written the choral piece, and that'll get premiered this year. So I'm really looking forward to that. And they've got a 100-piece orchestra,
Oh,
100
wow.
piece choir. Sorry, so it's an orchestra and choir piece, and I'm so excited to hear them. And I saw them perform last year, and they sounded great. So I'm really, really looking forward to hearing them singing this piece that I've written. And I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction of it. My symphony got some very positive reaction, but a couple of people, especially one particular person, gave it an incredibly bad review. So I'm hoping that there won't be one bad
Does it
review,
worry you
and
when you
that
get
we.
a bad review? I mean, surely you've achieved so much, you can just brush that away.
No, no. The review of that particular person with the symphony, and I'm only bringing it up because we're talking about it, but the review of that particular person was very personal. I must have done something to offend him because it was almost like nothing to do with the music. It strayed into like a bit of a personal thing. So whatever happened there, but in general, it got a really good reaction. So I'm hoping that the choral piece will get a similarly nice reaction as well.
And any chance of doing a follow up to that last blues album?
I've thought about it because when I did the blues album, I did a trilogy. So I did blues, rock, jazz. So you had Into the Blues, This Charming Life, and Starlight, I think it was. And I enjoyed doing that trilogy like that, which kept me linked to those themes solely. I tried to stay within those things because normally when I write, I just write whatever I feel. So it could be a blues followed by a rock followed by a jazz. Whereas with those albums, I tried to stay within the genre, and it was really nice. I enjoyed it. So it might happen again. It might happen again. We'll just have to see. But I'm really enjoying these classical things at the moment. It's nice.